Hi all, it's Emily Rand with ESPN Esports. I am joined by Florida Mutineers Havok after you guys just won your, well, not just, but you won your third Call of Duty League title. So first of all, just congratulations.
Thank
Did
you.
you expect this team to win this much?
Yeah, I expected us to win. We won an event with our old roster with Mox, and we were pretty shaky on consistency with that team. And once we picked up Awakening and we started scrimming with him, we knew we had something special. And then, like after we won that first event, going to the second one, we were very, very confident we were going to go back to back.
So the first event you guys won, I think a lot of people were still writing you off because of kind of a lot of the other competitive integrity issues that were going on. Didn't perform as well at your own home series. What exactly did you guys see in Awakening that you really wanted to bring him into this lineup? And what has he brought as a teammate and as player?
Well, what we saw in him was just raw talent, and I felt like we needed one more person, like one more superstar to really like mold the team perfectly. And he was just that guy. And I mean, we were a little worried about, like game knowledge and inexperience, but he has one of the best personalities to be a professional gamer. He's really good at listening, and he puts in his input when needed, and he's just like really, really good. So we teach him a little bit, but he pretty much knew from the start like how the game works and what to do in every situation.
Yeah, so now I think the outside, like putting Atlanta aside, kind of the most successful teams we've seen, like you, like Dallas, are a combination of like veterans and rookies. Do you
Mhm.
think that's kind of the best setup for success on a COD team?
Um, I don't think so. I think young players can fill the entire roster. It just depends on their personalities and maybe some with a little more experience on winning, but I don't think age is a or experience as a veteran is a huge factor anymore, at least.
And then what do you say to the people who still kind of try to take away from your titles and say like, oh, they're just an online team, they're only winning because they're online, etc.
Um, it's kind of hard to argue because like we haven't played on LAN as a team, so there is that question, and no one's denying that. But we're still really, really good, and we're showing like we're playing the game correctly. Um, we're winning a lot of our gunfights, and I don't think most of it has to do with online. It's just how we're playing the game, um, which can be hard to see from a public eye. But I think we're just excited to finally get back on LAN and hopefully soon show what we can do on LAN.
And then one last thing I wanted to touch upon before we move to a slight meta discussion is one thing I noticed about your team is that your comms compared to every other COD team I've heard in listen-ins are so chill. How do you guys stay so calm?
I think the main thing is Frosty. He if the comms start getting a little crazy, I think he said this before. He'll tell us, "All right, everyone, just calm down for a sec. Let's win this game. Let's just talk clearly." Um, and that really does help us a lot because everyone needs to know what's going on. So if we're just screaming callouts, no one's gonna know exactly what to do.
So, moving on to the recent MP5 changes that everyone's talking about prior to this really important back part of the season, right? Into
hmm
champ. What do you think of the change? What do you think of the like quote unquote nerf that actually ended up being kind of a weird buff? Uh, and how has it affected like scrims and the way you guys have been practicing?
So we actually just took a week off after the last one, and we came back. Luckily, on the day the meta started changing, with that recent update. And we haven't quite figured out what guns are going to be the best. Everyone's kind of min maxing right now when it comes to like attachments and guns. So we're still trying to figure it out. Um, but I think if we prove ourselves with a new meta, um, and even win even again, that'll help kind of justify that, we made a good decision with the roster change and that like we are a good team because we can adapt.
How impactful do you think it's going to be on the meta going forward?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. How impactful do you think it's going to be? Like, how much do you think it's going to change the way teams approach the game in this like final run before champs?
I think people are just going to really try to figure out the roles first, and then, if you were a team that didn't figure out the game and how to play certain maps and game modes correctly, this could definitely put you back more because now you have to figure out guns and you have to catch up on learning the game. Um, I don't know. I think it just makes the game a little spicier. I think everyone will figure it out. I don't think the game will change too much, but it might slow down a bit.
Well, that might be, I mean, that could be good for your team generally, just because I think one of the things that did happen, or, Pharaoh talking to him when he came onto the team and talking to you guys after that first one, was that his arrival, since he was kind of a slower player, it really suited your play style well.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, we generally run more ARs than other teams, and right now it's looking like ARs are gonna be pretty happy, so I don't think this meta change would be bad for us at all.
All right. Well, all the best going forward, and hopefully you guys can continue to prove to all the naysayers that you are definitely a top team in Call of Duty League right now. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
And
you.
for more Call of Duty League coverage, keep it here on ESPN Esports.